All right. I'm so happy to be here with you all. And for those, who watch it later, just getting to share teacher training, yoga teacher training, getting to share this modality that helps people feel better, whether you're teaching or you're practicing, getting to share tools that help amplify people I care about's voice in the world is just like a joy. It's one of the greatest joys in my life. So, thank you for coming in whatever way you're here. Um, Today, we're going to talk about the 200-hour foundational yoga teacher training. I have had the honor of teaching a 200-hour yoga teacher training for over 20 years. Holy moly. And I think I've taught close to 45 of them. So it's not my first day. I love it. I learn something every time I get to do it. It's considered the foundational training. This is a Yoga Alliance certified training. And it's foundational. It's like, okay, what are the asana, right? What is functional anatomy? How does it all work pertaining to the asana practice on the mat? Pranayama meditation. What are we talking about here? The foundational philosophy. What is yoga? Is yoga stretching? Right? What is it? So this foundational, which will allow a teacher to go pretty much anywhere to teach general group asana classes, right? And then there's, a 300-hour advanced training, and it's still foundational. And then we have all this growth and experience that happens over time. Okay. So we're talking about the 200-hour. There is one coming up on the schedule. It starts on February 18th, and it's 2 days a week live stream. So an evening, Wednesday evenings, Friday early mornings, and it runs for 4 months. And then there's 5 days in person here at the Olmsted. My back doors are closed because they were playing basketball back there. So that's coming up. And, whenever you might be watching this, because I hope to hold this little recording for a while, because it's so precious to have you here. That when, whenever we can check the dates for you or whatever, if it's a different, you're like, it's been 3 years. You're like, you're still on that date. We might have a different dates. Yeah. So I have with you here dun, 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 some dear humans in the world. And I will call each of you dear friends. And in your own right, really unique leaders, kindness leaders in all that you do. And so I threw out these questions to you maybe like 5 minutes ago. I was like, here, think about this. And here are the questions. And I thought we could just kind of, you know, play with it a little bit. Was one is, if something changed your life from the training, what changed your life? That's one of the questions. What changed in your teaching if you were already teaching? And if you weren't already teaching, what changed in your practicing? Like how did that change? What was the most challenging part? Right? Um, how did the program and the time, hi Neeners, how did the program and the time hold value for you? What did it add in value? Other things you could think about or share is what was your biggest growth moment? hmm And any advice to anyone considering to go on the journey of teacher training? So these are my questions. Here, I'm going to, Neeners, I'm so glad you made it. I'm going to cut and paste because I don't think you can see it because I posted it. Here are the consideration questions. And so, what I would love to do if, any of our, grads who are here feel like they like, oh, hey, I'll go first. And if you would just, speak to one of these or two of these things, just briefly, you don't have to have a whole essay because we can bop around and then you can add more like, oh yeah, that for me too. Right. So, uh, anyone feel like saying hi. When you say hi, will you just say, like kind of where you are and, oh, it's been a couple years or it was last month or, whenever you graduated and kind of where you are with it.
I'll go.
Okay, great.
I'm Andrea. I live in Texas now, but I took my first teacher training with Mel when I was still living in California. And I think that was in 2023, January of 2023. That's a long time now. And then I also shadowed and sort of, mildly assisted with another teacher training, which was these three girls. Um, and that was like a year, was it a year ago, you guys? Something like that. And yeah, for me, I think it was very challenging for me to even step in to a teacher training, even though I had practiced for over 10 years and loved yoga and felt very called to yoga, and it changed my life and it was so meaningful in my life. And I wanted to share that with other people, but I was terrified to be a teacher. I didn't see myself as a teacher. I never thought I would be a teacher. And I think the hardest part was actually, that part wasn't that hard stepping into the training because I had no intentions of being a teacher. So I wasn't really nervous about that.
I had intentions for
Yeah,
you.
but I just thought, oh, I'm going to do this for my own self-growth. And I just want to learn more about yoga. And I would study yoga kind of on my own. And I wanted to be with like-minded people. And I think what I loved the most was finding a sense of community. And I gained a lot of confidence. And I felt really validated in purpose, if that makes sense. Um, and even though I still didn't really know what I would do with that purpose, and then Mel gave me a little nudge out the door, and I stepped into teaching and love it. And I think Mel had just created such a safe space that I was able to learn and able to grow. And I never felt judged. The women in my training were just so
Yeah.
beautiful, still friends. And it was just an amazing, amazing experience. Whether I would have gone on to teach or not, in fact, such an amazing experience that I shadowed another 200-hour training and learned so much more.
Yeah.
That it's like rewatching a movie and you're like, oh, I never noticed that before. And then also coming from a different perspective of having taught a little bit once and taking that training again and realizing, oh, that's why we were learning about that. It just all kind of came together.
I love that. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, fantastic. We're going to come back to you. Anybody else feel like jumping in and saying hi and sharing an experience?
I
Sure.
can go. Oh, Sheree, you were
Marta, go, Marta, go.
okay. Sorry, Sheree. I was trying to find the unmute button. Hi, everybody. My name's Marta. I recently completed the 200-hour teacher training last year, February 2025. So almost a whole year ago. And um, uh, what changed my life? I think the intentionality and the very much focus on that Mel especially focuses on how your body informs your emotions. And I know that's not necessarily the core of teacher training, but that's what it got the most out of it for me. Keeping a neutral spine, like, not being this hunched over person, being this, like, exuding your prana, your energy, and being aware of my energy in the world, in my world, whether it's my family or my career. I'm a labor and delivery nurse. So I think that was the biggest thing that I still carry with me every day is that feeling of what prana am I calling in and what prana am I putting out to the world. That was a huge mind shift for me. And the reason that I started yoga teacher training was really to learn more about the teachings of yoga, because I really love the way that yoga makes me feel in my body, but I wanted to learn more about why I love that because clearly there's something chemically going on in our brains that creates that oxytocin or that love or whatever it is. So that was really lovely. And like I said, I use that every day in my life. Um, the most challenging part was actually just showing up, I think, to the first class, signing up, I think, because similar to Andrea, I didn't have any intentions of becoming a yoga teacher. Like I said, I really wanted to explore, have more self exploration. And then halfway through the training, I was like, oh, maybe I am a teacher.
You started teaching right away. I was so inspired by that, Mark.
And so I think you'll surprise yourself if you choose to move forward with the training. There's a lot that you learn spiritually, but then a lot of challenges in terms of whether it's, you know, public speaking or being intentional in how you are informing somebody to move their body, which actually I use every day in my labor and delivery practice, which is incredible. And even, you know, like if you have children or if, you know, a partner, instead of, you know, like just being intentional, using intention with the way that you're speaking.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, the advice I would give is if it's something that you're being called to do, give it a try. It's scary, but there are so many more beautiful things that come out of it that you would miss if you don't give it a try.
Thank you, Marta. So beautifully said. And I so agree. Like because I remember my very first training and I thought, oh, can I, you know what I mean? It was like, can I do it? And I think, wow, all this life would have not opened if I hadn't have done it, right? Lovely. Thank you, Marta. So appreciate it. Okay. Any other friend feel like? Cherie.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Cherie, and hello, everyone. So nice to see your faces again. But okay, so how has it changed my life? First of all, I graduated with Marta and Janine, and that's already being part of the last group has changed my life. That was almost a year ago. And right after the training, I stumbled upon, just attending local studio like classes, like which I've never done. But fast forward, I was subbing the owner's classes, and then all of a sudden I'm like taking over her classes, and I did not expect any of that to happen. I, like everyone here, did not think I was going to be teaching at all. I was just like wanting to delve deep into my own healing and understand myself and any more whys that were popping up, But I think the training has really like made me equipped with so much of the unexpected, like even when I'm teaching now, which I'm still fresh in teaching, but there's the skills that we have, like even just the whole like sequence, Mel's sequence alone, just I don't know, it's like so super accessible for anyone, like for any group, it really is. And that's kind of shows in the classes I've been teaching, and that's like with people just giving random feedback, just without, I don't even ask, but they'll just mention it. And then for me, from personally attending other classes, I see the difference. And like, how do you get into that position? And we actually learned that in our male training. Sometimes we just hear like, oh, do this, but I'm like, wait, how do you get there?
No one the chips implanted, right, Cherie? It's like,
Yeah.
we could use a little
How do you get
information. Yeah, yeah.
How do you get there, and how do you use your breath?
For me, a big part of just using our breath is like so powerful and seems so simple, but
being reminded, like during teacher training, just take it on and off the mat. That's helped me get through the biggest growth moments,
Mhm.
which is like just being present with myself. Like I could say my relationships got stronger at home and all that stuff, but like with myself, I mean, I entered the program when I was going through like really hard time after the last birth, and trying to get back into my own body and connect with other women, just like-minded and just connect like in those ways. I'm surrounded by like young sons and boys at home. So um yeah, so that's been a big part of
Cherie,
my life.
I love this all so much, and I'm so thankful for it. Will you speak to, because there's this thing that I feel like I've witnessed with you specifically, but I witness it with all of you. Like Andrew, I witnessed it. Marta, I witnessed it. Janine, you were already here, but I witnessed it too. This aspect of you start to teach, even if you weren't planning to teach, and something inside goes and aligns. There's an energy, a power, a confidence, um, a resilience. Something happens, I see, as your sister friend, when you go to teach. Can you speak to that? Because I can see it very clearly in you. And if I just put the words in your mouth, my apologies. But will you speak to
No, you definitely feel more empowered just being like in your own voice, just showing up and not caring if you mess up. Literally not caring if that's the only way to keep growing, and you're not judged. You're like you're just being held along the way, even after training. I feel like I just have an anchor, always anchored. And I'm always continuously pulling from the training and the connections from teacher training and all the friends I made.
right?
So,
You see it in your students, right, Cherie? Like even if you teach something and you're like, that wasn't the best,
oh my
whatever, you can still see they're different. They went
yes,
to A, which where
yeah.
they're like, oh, and then they went to B and they're like, huh. And
Physically, definitely
yes,
when they in the beginning of class, especially, oh my gosh, some people are, I mean, coming from work and everything, and at the end of class, they're just like a big exhale and they'll say something to you. But even though you're teaching, you're like, did I forget this or did I mess up? But the students come to you and they'll share like so much more without you even, I mean, you're probably in your own head, but it shows and it comes through just by teaching
that's
and just
beautiful.
showing up. So,
That's so beautiful. And that, I mean, I don't say like teach because you're going to get so much out of it, but there is a little like teach because you'll be helpful no matter who you touch.
that's what it
And
is.
it heals you. So
Yeah.
there's a selfish component, like
I think it's
by
like
teaching.
just nourishing. It's like that image when you're like watering each other. You ever seen that image when you're just watering each other for growth? I feel like that's what it's been completely, like all of that. And then you're just like, you stop thinking about like, I just want to teach because I just want to share.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Cherie. Mwah. Thank you so much. It was so great to hear all that. Uh, Nainers, I know, no, I wanted to say hi.
Hello, hello.
How
I'm Janine. I graduated, it'll be a year on Valentine's Day.
ah.
And, and I took the class to learn more. I did not think I was going to teach yoga at all. I did not want to teach yoga. I was already a teacher. And and uh, yeah. I went in going like, oh no, I'm not doing this. I really wanted to learn more about yoga for my body because I am not the typical yoga body. Um, and I just wanted to see how it worked so that I could understand it and make it work for me. Um, so I teach art and I have taught a class where I had like a very small seated yoga maybe 15 minutes before we did art. And I've done that once. I keep having people asking if I'm going to bring it back. It went well, and I'm still that's out of my comfort zone. It takes me a while. That being said, though, I do yoga with 450 kids. I do breathing work with them every day. Um, so they come in, they sit, we breathe. I teach them different marma points to warm up our hands for art. I've started teaching them. Um, Fourth graders asked if we could do the lion's breath. So I've been doing all these things with kinder through fifth grade, and the teachers are in there too. So a lot of times the teachers are also, as soon as they get in, they're grounding, they're breathing. And I had a teacher tell me 2 weeks ago that she's like, Janine, I hope you really can stay here because I don't think you understand the difference you're making with the yoga you're doing with these kids. Like you are changing them. You are changing us. And from I didn't do yoga with them last year, and I do yoga with them this year, and the confidence level, the behaviors, everything, they come in like outside of recess and they're all squirrely. It was 100 days this week. Kindergarten was really squirrely. And they all came down and they had their hands on their bellies and they breathed. Um, and then we did art. So, like for me, that's making such a difference. I'm getting to breathe 6 times a day. Even if I can't get to the mat, I'm still leading and I'm finding myself more confident teaching that. Like, we were doing like, okay, put your thumb in here. Like, and the kids understand it and are using it. So that has been pretty amazing and has changed how I just teach as
That's amazing.
an art teacher.
I'm jumping in, Janine. First, I love
Yes.
that so much. It made me cry.
Oh,
Um, and what I really want to pull out here, because it's part of my vision and intention too, and we collaborate, is
yeah.
that yoga can look like many different things, and yoga
Yes.
teaching can look like many different things, right? It doesn't have to be in a studio. You can be in a at the hospital. It can
Yeah.
be online. It can
Yes.
be in so it's going to be in a school. It can be breathing. It can be anywhere that
Yes.
it needs to be, and that the teaching is just a simple extension of your own integration, right? Um,
Yes.
and it has a ripple effect.
100%. Yeah. And now like I'm teaching my husband, like he wants to do stuff. And so I'm explaining how to do things with him and we'll do stuff together. I It was challenging. I worked 2 jobs and I was doing yoga teacher training, but I felt like it gave me like something for just me. It was, and then finding this amazing group of women who we were all in it together and supporting each other. So for me it was pretty phenomenal. And then we always talk about that chip being implanted, and there's a friend of mine who always posts like her workout videos and stuff. Every time I look at it, her foot's out. And
Sorry,
I'm
my
like, don't
friend.
say anything to
Chips
her,
right
Janine.
there.
Don't. But I did. And I was like, hey, so you're gonna probably think I'm weird. And do you have like hip pain or anything? And she's like, well, actually, yeah, I do have like fascia stuff. And I was like, I noticed when you walk on your treadmill and you pose that your foot goes like this. And my yoga coach Mel has always talked about being on the train tracks. And because I did yoga and I had to do so much anatomy, now I see it everywhere. And and she was like, "Oh, thanks, Janine. Yeah, I'm totally gonna check that
Sure.
out."
Yeah.
And she didn't take it as like, "Wow, this weirdo," but
No.
like she was like, "Oh, I never even thought about that." So
Great.
it's I
Great.
it's like the Matrix. I see.
I know you see so much more.
Yes,
Yes, in
Yeah.
your own body and in others, and in the depth of breath and all these things. I love that. Okay, I also want to pull out, Janine,
Mm.
that you were like, okay, I'm not necessarily the yoga body. What is that yoga body? First we see the the very skinny Indian man.
Uh-huh.
Then we see the very young, skinny white woman,
Pretzel.
right? Right, like as these images, we are all yoga bodies, and it's
Yes.
so important. Every different age, every different size. It's
Yes.
it's super super important.
And I think like for me, learning all the anatomy and learning all the poses and how to get into them safely was so helpful. Like you're an amazing teacher, but not every teacher knows that or does that.
Sure.
So
I've
it
had
was,
very good teachers.
yeah.
I have.
So it was very beneficial to me to be like, oh, you can do a frickin' handstand. You like I just, I need to trust my body. I need to be brave. And I think a lot of people keep asking me because I am not that typical. So they're
Yes.
like, when are you going to teach? I'll take it from you, Janine.
Yeah, very inspiring. Very inspiring. Yes. And maybe this is the year that your friend Mel pushes you a little more. Okay, so thank you, Janine. Thank you, all your friends. Okay, so talk to me because I know, okay, online is one thing. There are pros and cons of being online. First, it's this. You just log in, you're like, hi. And then you're like, bye, right? So there's no traveling. And then if you're like, I don't feel so well today, I'm just going to watch. And then you have the recordings, so helpful, and you can watch them again. And you're like, I missed it. And I watched them. So, the cons is that you are here and sometimes it's like, oh gosh, but I've been trying to keep, I think some of our hours, like Andrea, our first training, we were doing 5 and 6 hours online. Now I'm doing 2.5 hours. Just so you know, I'm doing 2.5 to 3 hour slots maximum. Just because I've gotten too Zoom tired. So I feel like that kind of helps with that, the cons. Talk to me about the in-person 5 days. Can anyone, feel like sharing a little something about that? Tell me the positives. Anything?
I feel like it was everything like clicked. Everything we'd been talking about for 6 months because we were hands on, it was like we had learned it all. And then you were visual, like now we're doing this. And there was a lot of aha moments for me. I felt like we had built a community being on Zoom, but then actually meeting and hugging and assisting and doing everything in person just made it over the top.
Hmm. I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, I want to hear more. And I would say, like, if you can't do a posture, do you think is that like I shouldn't do the training if you can't do all the postures? Talk to me about this. Yeah, Marta.
So, one thing that I learned from Mel during the training is your ability to be able to do or not do a posture does not inhibit your ability to be able to teach. And that is empowering because the way that we learned from Mel is all about proper body mechanics and proper, not necessarily proper, that sounds very strict, but yeah, like I don't know, but like safety, right? Safety for protecting your joints, for protecting your muscles, for like Mel loves to say, avoiding those really expensive surgeries, for like replacing your hips or your knees. Like it's very what I said in the beginning, intentional. So no, if you can't do a pose, it's okay. And Mel makes everything accessible with adaptations for your body or anybody else's body.
Thank you.
And I love that.
Thanks, Marta. And piggybacking on this, and I want to hear more, but there's that aspect though, when you have someone like none of you were in this training, but just the last training, we had someone in a foot boot. They were in crutches and a foot boot the entire training and the in person. And the thing is that then because of that sweet person in the training, we broke down more accessibility. So we literally got to watch her do it in the chair, right? And so we all learn. So, and if you have a pregnant lady or you have someone with osteoporosis, like we get to learn from each other. And I just want to highlight that. And we can really see it when we're in person. Um, Cherie, Andrea, either one of you want to chime in on, anything about this? Andrea.
Yeah, I also love, Mel, that you taught us to go into a pose in stages. And maybe for somebody, staying at stage one is perfect. And maybe you go beyond, maybe you go beyond. And I love that whole idea of that yoga isn't getting to that ultimate yoga journal pose, because yoga is just uniting and aligning mind, body, and spirit. So wherever you feel you need to stop in that alignment for yourself, you've done the yoga. Like that's a beautiful thing. And you're getting all the benefits of the pose.
Yeah. I love that,
You
Andrea.
don't learn that just showing up to class in a studio. No one ever I didn't learn that until I met you. I've done yoga forever and went through injury after injury. And also that feeling of competing with the person on the mat next to you, or you're going to disappoint the teacher, all that. Oh, we need to just get rid of all of that. Like,
For sure. For sure. It's like junk food. Those are like junk food thoughts. You know what I love about that, Andrew? And it brings, like oftentimes we'll be like, if this, then that. Like, I know rings for many of you. So if let's say your shoulder's up by your ear, then, keep your hand on your hip. So then that, right? So to also be able to understand in our own bodies, what are the stopping points and why? And then see it in somebody else's too. So it's not like I'm better or I'm worse. It's like, oh, it's functional. And there's always going to be adaptation or something that's accessible that will help that person. And the more we get to see that, big people, small people, young people, old people, like it's really helpful. Sheree, you want to chime in on that, or do we get it?
Yes, I actually agree with what everyone's been saying. It's like being in person. I mean, even at the time when we were doing certain poses, those are poses that I did a lot in my body. Like I said, I was still getting to know it again. And but walking through in phases and then feeling my way through, and then also seeing someone else right near me feel their way through. It just kind of helped put things together. And then also feel it, but teach it. Like even now with the prop usage. And then a big thing that I remember is like teaching what the value system is, or, learning what the value system is by feeling. That's what I really meant.
Yeah,
But that's been super helpful now.
I
And
love
then
it.
you can really see your own growth and then your students' growth that way,
Yeah.
just
I
by
love
taking the time.
Yeah, that the value system is not like holding the posture the longest. The value system is not putting your foot over your head. The value system is
Yeah,
spacious. The,
yeah, patience.
yeah, the value system is non-harming.
Yes.
The value system is it leading me towards stillness, right? So like, yes, yes, yes. Like, and so important. Our job as teachers are to teach others what to value based on this beautiful, deep, rich philosophy and the lineage of it. So that's why it's important we learn that. And then seeing how that registers inside, how with your own experience and your own kindness,
Yes.
how does that value, and that helps with your voice. Because as you start to
Yes.
do things that are aligned with what you really believe and you want to believe and who you want to become, then it's like, dun, da, da, da.
And that's definitely came out from the in-person training the most for me.
Good. Awesome. Meaners. And then I know I'm holding you here longer than I promised. So I just want to be.
Um,
Fine.
I was piggybacking off of what Marta said, something that rang like in our in-person training that was like the aha. Somebody said Olympic coaches cannot do those triple axles. But they know how to protect. They know how to train. They know how to. And I was like that clicked for me. Like, yeah, they're not doing that. Maybe they could 20, 30 years ago, but
Yes.
again, like they know how to lead through. So,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So we understand the value system. We understand the functionality. We understand the goal, and then step by step, that's the very much like, which is one of the reasons and I know it's complicated to teach how to sequence versus just, I mean, I do give you sequences, but I'm not just like saying, hey, memorize this and then you're done. Because when we learn what's happening energetically and we learn what's happening with the nervous system enough that you can be like, oh, this is an upper, this is a downer. You know what I mean? Like this is how I'm then going to create this thing that's going to get that person where they need to go. I mean, all of that is, and it can be complicated. It's not easy. Remember in the middle part of the training, and you're like, oh, but then amazing how it comes together for the most part and keeps unpacking. Like I'm still unpacking things at 45 trainings in. Andrea, I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, I was just thinking too about that idea of you we learn the values in the training, and then you learn how to incorporate the values, and that you should be able to take off the mat with you as well. And then when you show up as a teacher with those values, you're giving permission for all of your students to remain in those. Like, yeah, there are people that we're a tribe. Like, you're attracting those people that they want to stand in their values too. And it's hard in the world that we're in. So just to keep coming back to the mat and practicing being in that value system over and over and over. And then you're like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I'm just going to be this person everywhere and in your family, in your work, in the world. And
Mhm.
I really felt like I learned that through teacher training. Like,
Mhm.
or I was like validated in that. Like I was like, yeah, I've always said that. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. And now there's all these other women that believe that too, and yeah, and let's ripple it out.
I
Yeah,
love that. I love that. That's
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much. And and then the fun thing when you like read something that's 3,000 years old, like what he said, like that's exactly what we're talking about here, and it grows. Well, I want to piggyback that. Sometimes you'll show up for others when you don't show up for yourself. So what happens is that you're like, okay, yes, I'm getting a certification, so I have to show up, right? But then you start to bond with the people who are in the training, and you're like, well, I don't want to leave Marta, like I got to get there, right? And then everybody commits more and more, and then the same thing happens. You're like, these students. We just had one of these moments, Andrea, these students are kind of relying on me, right? And I don't want to let them down, right? And so sometimes we will let ourselves down. We're like, oh, I'm tired or whatever. I know I'd feel better if I did a little cat cow and some breathing. But there's something about this aspect too of like keep continuing to follow through and sharing the practice. And then you show up for someone else and you want to show up in integrity. You're not going to be like, use your breath, and then you're not using your breath, and then you feel like a big phony, and that feels bad, right? So it's like, if I'm going to say use your breath, anchor your body, well, I better be practicing it. So it's like this thread of like accountability that I feel like teaching helps us grow spiritually because of that little hook there.
Mel, I also love, it just came to mind too, that you teach a lot about, yoga and yoga philosophy, and then you also teach it from a scientific perspective, because sometimes you hear like these medical things or scientists say this and that. My husband will tell me things that he's read and I'll say, oh, that's yoga. And he's like, I'm like, yeah, that's been around for thousands of years. So that's yoga.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and I think that helps with people who are very scientifically minded. Like it's not all woo-hoo, it is connected to science.
Yeah, it's regulating the nervous system.
Unusual to learn that in a teacher training, I think,
Mm, mm. Again, I've had really good teachers and a really good community, right? So And with that, I just want to say a huge thank you because I know right now it's Friday afternoon. Like there's so many things, and you have all kinds of stuff to do, and families relying on you, and all these things. So just thank you so much for coming. All the times that you have showed up, all of them, I thank you for it. And this time, super thank you. Do you feel like unmuting and saying goodbye to each other at all? Do you feel like doing that?
Of course, because I love you all.
Yes. Oh my
Miss you
goodness.
all. So nice to
Yes.
see you.
Miss you all.
Hi, my friends. Thank you so much. This is going to be, I know, so helpful for many people. And you know that that has a ripple effect, right? Your love, your sharing has a ripple effect, and this will have a ripple effect. And may we help the world.
Amen.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Love you guys.
Bye. Bye.